Okay, so today I wanted to talk about the Russian disinformation campaigns against Ukraine during the full-scale invasion. Of course, on this topic we could write, I would say, a few books, so it definitely wouldn't be like comprehensive overview of everything, but there would be like 3 campaigns that I worked on myself personally, that I'll describe what are the main patterns, and then I'll try to tie them up to you so that you understand that they are connected and what's happening there. So let's start from the basics. Modern Russian hybrid war started a while ago, right? So we already talked and discussed in this room yesterday and today that there have been a lot of different things happening since 2014 at least, even if not before. By the way, this is a chart that we created with a team for the report that's called Narrative Warfare, and it's based on the data from the Stop Fake website. That's basically all of the debunks that been there separated by different topics. So this is data from 2014 till the end of 2022. In here you could see like how they basically been disseminated, like what journalists at Stop Fake debunked and at what times, and when there is like intensity in different topics. So some narratives are being like stopped for a while and then like reintegrated again. So here we could see like the patterns of like how Russian propaganda machine works. So that's just like to show you that it's not new. But then something changed in this life, and it's what? And it's full-scale invasion, correct? First of all, what happened is that multiple traditional ways of disseminating disinformation for Russians kinda not ceased to exist. In some places they did, but like they kind of became harder to use the older means of communication like RT and Sputnik in multiple countries, or TV channels like 112, Zik and some others that were blocked in Ukraine. So Russians need to switch to something new, social media platforms. So they reoriented towards, as I said, social media. So here is really important node of spreading disinformation is social media grifters. Please raise your hand if you've seen the Twitter account with the blue check mark spreading some nonsense. Have you seen that? Yeah. So that's the grifters, because if you didn't know that, people with the blue check marks, if they receive enough reactions, shares and comments, they can earn money. If it's for you like discovery, yeah, basically people are making money on nonsense. And ex-RT employees and bloggers. So that's important because some of the people who left RT, they're active in blogosphere, they're spreading the messages, even if they're not directly associated with RT, they're still pushing the Russian messaging. So more covert tactics that exploit platform vulnerabilities. We'll talk about like doppelganger and a few other things. The main idea is that they understand that there is not absolutely ideal systems of how to check and like counter certain operations on the platforms, and they're abusing it. Laundering of the fringe websites and personas. We'll talk about this as well, but namely, imagine something starts on Reddit, and then somebody picked this up and claims, hey, this is like legitimate thing, and then it reaches the mainstream media. So that's the main idea of what they're trying to do. Ad campaigns, basically paying to reach out the audiences like the doppelganger, we'll talk about this in a second. And real life campaigns, aka active measures. All of this technically could be actually part of the active measures, but what I'm meaning here is that maybe you've heard about the coffin in front of the French parliament, like the coffins with the French flags, symbolizing that if you send like French soldiers to Ukraine, they would be dead. Kind of like that. So here's an example. This is RT journalist pretending to be, I know, an expert on everything. And she is claiming that Zelensky is actually filming all of those videos from the presidential administration on the green screen from Hollywood. So so-called green screen theory. Or, as I said already about the coffin mystery, and there's like Russia has a link because they paid people to do that. Maybe you heard about the story that Elena Zelenska supposedly bought a Cartier bag or like in New York during her visit. I'll remind you real quickly that it started from the supposedly employee of Cartier shop. Spoiler, she is living in Russia, not in New York, and cannot work at Cartier in New York. Like, it's kind of hard to track, but whatever. Let's talk real quick in general what disinformation campaigns were in Ukraine. So the throw in the pasta, I heard yesterday this phrase. Actually, I call it like throw as much as you can and something will stick. It's from the Firehouse of Falsehoods. It's really a seminal paper by Rand Corporation written in 2017, I guess. It still holds. So the main approaches are simple. Amplify internal issues or clashes or grievances. Create clashes between leadership, political and military. I do not even tell you which specifically, you probably already know. Undermine trust in institutions so that like the government doesn't represent you, these people are detached from you, you shouldn't be believe in them, etc. Spread demoralizing content that you already lost, do not fight, just give up. Exhaust information space with different theories, usual like with MH17 and afterwards. and weaken the resistance, right? So like try to people to stop actually resisting towards Russians. Platforms. Facebook ads, like the doppelgangers and some negative content, we'll talk about this. Telegram influence operations, forgeries. I've never seen so many forged documents as I've seen since 2022. Like Polish MFA, Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, Ukrainian government. They were all like, I wouldn't say that they're like done a great job in faking them, but they were believable at least. So TikTok, we'll talk about this in a second. I wouldn't be stopping here for long. It's like one of the largest, it's actually the largest influence operation on the platform that we uncovered. And the Twitter, right? Negative content, troll accounts, and grifters as well. So here's an example of one of the ads that I tell you. So you could recognize whom you see on the picture. It's Valery Zaluzhny. Now it's ambassador to the UK from Ukraine. The message there written that Zelensky fired a person who was the head of Center for Counter and Disinformation because she was doing a PR campaign for Zaluzhny, which is like absolute complete nonsense, but still they paid money for it, they created the graphics and they disseminated it. Who cares, right? So in the West, the situation is slightly different. The main idea that Russia wants is to win the war. So the message is, the main narrative, what they're trying to peddle abroad is focus on your internal problems and do not help Ukraine because you have internal problems this and this, or Ukraine is unreliable, corrupt, or Ukraine wants to drag you to war, so and you do not want to be in war, so do not help Ukraine. Another kind of thing is that Russian resources are vital for your survival, so do not do anything weird or you will like freeze out in the winter or something like that. Approaches that they've done. So the information laundering I already mentioned. Place something on the fringe, wait when it makes it till the mainstream or being picked up by media or bloggers. Constantly provide an evolution of the narrative. So this like one of the research that I've done, it's how they implemented the narrative that Ukraine sells Western weapons that being provided by Western countries, and then they built it, updated it so that when the Israel-Hamas war started, they claimed that Hamas is using the weapons that Ukraine supposedly sold to Hamas. It's a real story. It's being debunked for sure. Right? It's fake, right? But they still use it and like constantly update this thing. And the real life operations, so like coffins or like the graffiti of Stars of David in Paris as well. Platforms, so the doppelganger in a second, and celebrity endorsements. Maybe you've seen celebrities are claiming that Volodymyr, you should go to rehab, you should start abusing some drugs and alcohol. That's the thing. They basically paid through the Cameo. This is a service when you could pay an artist or like well-known actor to do some promotional video for your friends, like congratulate them with the birthday or like ask them to do something. And they done it for certain Volodymyr. But what the Russians did, they put the at Zelensky, claiming that those stars supposedly asked Volodymyr Zelensky to stop abusing substances. And the Twitter, right? So like blue ticks accounts, as I said, some of them are directly translating like Russian Telegram into English or other languages and spread it straight away. Or some blogs, fringe media, so like from RT-Pool and some others that are being disseminating the information as well. So here's an example of actually how one of the TikTok campaigns ended up on Twitter. So there is a user sharing the made by Russians video, supposedly claiming that Ukrainian Ministry of Defense bought the villa for his daughter in French Riviera. Spoiler, he never did. This you could buy it for 7 million euros if you had them. Let's jump into the operations because I've been kind of talking about them, but not necessarily writ large. So Operation Doppelganger, if you don't know, this is like pretty long operation, long-standing one, that the main idea is to create the believable copy of the website. It's actually exact copy of real media, but push the information that you need, supposedly written by the journalist or by this media. They used different operation security methods, including geofencing, meaning that if this website was intended for, let's say, American audience, and if you're going from, like, let's say, Canadian IP address, you will not see it. That's the geofencing. So they used Facebook ads, Twitter X vulnerabilities, and also now they switched to the Blue Sky to promote their content. They not only cloned the websites, but also spread demoralizing content. So here's a few examples from Le Parisien. This is articles that never existed on this website, but they wrote them, they even created collages. Unfortunately, I do not speak French, but I Google Translate them and they are not positive. So That's what I know about them. Here is a Ukrainian example. It was in Ukrainian, but I Google translated the image, so that's why many images would be featured in English text for you, but like they were written in Ukrainian. So this is Union, like this collage, and like should Zelensky return or not? Please bear in mind that this article was advertised on Meta platform, right? So on the Facebook. And this is like forged Washington Post, how it looks like. So this is the real Washington Post journalist. This is like it looks like Washington Post, but it's not. This article was never there. Or the Fox News. US should trade Ukraine for security. Yeah, interesting kind of concept that was written on August 7, 2023. So how it looks on the Facebook side of things. So this is one of the ads that's been demonstrated to Ukrainians. Again, I Google translated. So this is a meme that like cashier asked that you're an optimist, claiming that supposedly Ukraine comes for another like tranche of credit money from the Europe, and they are an optimist because Europeans will not give us money, something like that. The geofencing, as I said, like if you go on the website from different IP address, you would not see this website. You would see some nonsense text, but if you go on the source code, you could see that there is like specific script that does that. Then they switched it, so now you cannot even see the script. It will do something a bit more sophisticated. If you're interested, I could tell you, but I will not be stopping it here. But still, if you're coming from like the website that you're not intended audience, they would basically refer you to something else. And here are a few examples from different countries. So on the left, you could see this is like Italian ads. Some of them are like, let's spend more money on public health rather than helping Ukraine, or let's not send our boys to die in Ukraine. French people are crazy if they want to send their kids dying in Ukraine. We should not be doing that. The short description of what you could read them if you read Italian or French. And on the right, this is an ad on Ukraine that there's a huge corruption on building the railway station. So it's bad. We should not believe in government or something like that. Switching to a new things that I investigated, it's TikTok campaign that happened in 2023. So we together with BBC Verify published an article. We uncovered several hundreds accounts. TikTok confirmed and banned 12,800 accounts, disinfo about Ukraine on different languages, and there were actually 7 languages. All they collectively had 847,000 subscribers. Usually it's where like this empty accounts with like single video there. Usually it's AI narrated video, so it's like a few images and AI narration that something happened. We'll talk about this in a second. Used popular hashtags and tried to hide that they are actually Russians, but TikTok confirmed that they are. So typical scenario was that they were targeting political or like local leadership or military leadership in a typical scenario. So here's a photo of an official. So in this case is Reznikov, former Minister of Defense. Here's supposed like villa or like some luxurious item. It might be car, it might be villa, it might be something else. And then finally, this is like our government is bad, or like Ukrainian people are suffering while the people in power are like making money and everything like that. So here is a quick snapshot of this video of the villa of Reznikov. So if you reversibly search it, you could find that this property is still for sale. It's not being bought. The image of the account is like stock image, so it's been stolen, and this received 1.8 million views on TikTok only. It doesn't end there. How do we know that this is Russians? So there was an article by Washington Post when they got leaked documents from Russian dashboards, and this dashboard showcased a video of some Ukrainian military person. And I've seen this video when investigating this campaign. That's the first thing that I could tell you. And the second one, if you read the affidavit of the recently Department of Justice of the United States and FBI, they've done this interesting thing, and you could read the Russian internal documents, including this dashboard. So that's how we can understand that first they are tracking what they're ingesting, so they can measure the effectiveness of those campaigns. That's definitely their produce. So that's what we could confirm. Remember 1.8 millions, and remember this Twitter snapshot that I showed you? Well, it received 2.3 more million of views. So in total, it's 4.1 millions of views. And I'm not even saying that these things were like translated in multiple languages as well, because of the AI. Like in Twitter, you could add at some specific bot, and it will translate you a video, and it got even more views. So it's not even like cumulatively all. I think you could imagine how many users with blue ticks shared this with what sentiment, claiming that Ukrainians are, I don't know, corrupt and everything else you could only imagine. And the final thing in the campaign that I wanted to discuss is like one of my last investigations when I done DFR Lab with the team is that we collected 100,000 comments from malign actors. Some of them are being like coordinating, they were like inauthentic. We were using a Ukrainian tool called Osadchuk for that, and we found like that 15 most prolific accounts published about 3,600 comments in October and November only. So how it usually look like? It's some unnamed accounts, so these are the comments on Telegram. They are like claiming that Zelensky is ready to do anything. If he cared about his people, he would go to negotiations, but he reject any opportunity, which already says a lot. These are two comments that are exactly the same and go after each other. So it's definitely like an authentic behavior right there. So what they're spread in Ukraine, basically they are criticized political military leadership, that Ukraine was abandoned by allies, government prolongs war for money because it's profitable for them, and asking questions why there is no peace. So like these two campaigns that it's only a shame that West only promises but never delivers the help. Why my family should suffer. Again, Zelensky is not interested in peace and only in his financial welfare. So these comments were like repeating again and again. On the Facebook situation was somewhat different. There were like accounts in batches that were used for a short period of time and then absolutely like abandoned. They usually were active for 1 day for like 15-20 comments and then absolutely abandoned, as I said. The tactic is usual comment or meme under public persona or media page in hopes to get at least some views and reactions. And comments do not correspond with the content of publication. So it means that there is like either a script or like real person goes to like, okay, I have this text to paste and I go to these links and I just paste it there. So here's an example of one of the comment sections. Dana Warova sharing the meme about Syrsky and Mariana Bazula, criticizing them both. Here's a USAID Ukraine publication and two comments out there. So this is like, I just made a preview of these comments that published this. So it's just like blurred profile pictures. So one of them is saying that why the couple of Zelensky is not stopping the war. And the second one is like, how long can we fight the war? Twitter situation is like even crazier than that. So it's meme and comments. So here you could see one of the accounts, more specifically media files that this account spread. So these are the memes that usually go in batches of 10 or 5 in this case, meaning that it comments under the 5 different Twitter posts with one image and then comments with 5 or 10 others on other posts. It looks something like this. So this is about the statement of Budanov that Irina Farion died for Ukrainian position. Here are a few comments, like two memes about Zelensky and Poroshenko. And here, if you go to the media file, you could see that this is like scheduled work. There's like definitely an algorithm how this account works. So it's highly predictable, highly understandable that there's something going on. Remember I said that all of this connected in one way or another? So here is one of the accounts, and you could see here is an image of like skeleton with the like butterfly wings. And it tells like sprint demobilization, so it's basically criticizing demobilization, as you understand. And then at the Operation Doppelganger, the same image was used on the Facebook, meaning that there's like the same people from the same office using the same visuals. Again, I do not know and cannot prove that they're sitting in the same office, but they definitely have the same link of the like resources that they're using for their campaign. So most likely they are being connected. And here's the text of this ad is that like Germans saying that like we're not as protected as we used to be. So like there would be no demobilization, something like that. Ukraine will lose, basic idea. So my main conclusion is that there might be different campaigns. They might be targeting different platforms. And like, yes, as we yesterday discussed, there is a clash. We need to understand that what Russians do, they, first of all, really know their audiences, whom they are targeting, with what content. They also trace how well this content does. They done it like and adapted to different platforms so that it looks, native to those platforms. Thank you.